a draft, but it's going to probably be draft style, I guess, where we're just kind of going around the horn talking about some different like topics, I guess, within our game coverage. So, just for example, like we'll talk through like best performance from the week, best overall prospect, best starting performance on the mound, things like that. So, I think we'll each kind of go through, and there might be some sections where like I don't, for example, have like a best relief performance, but just something to note. We're gonna kind of change it up a little bit. But I guess we can kick things off unless you guys want to get into anything before we do. All
I,
good?
no, I think the whole thing here is like we're trying to, at least in our heads, make this more conversational, while still getting all of our points across that we want to from the games that we see. And instead of Gavin Smith just going through 4 games and talking about them in a row, just what he saw, like I think this could spur some conversation. We'll see. We may add categories next week. Like I, I think the cool thing is between the 5 of us here on this podcast. I don't even know the exact number, but there's probably, when you go through like best performance or best overall prospect, probably close to 15 games, like 30 teams potentially that we're choosing between. Give or take, maybe 12 to 15 teams that we saw. So, like, there's a lot of players in the Rolodex, I guess, that could fall into like best performance category, best overall prospect. And this isn't the best overall prospect that we've seen this spring. Like, this is just from our game coverage this past week, basically since the last podcast, that stood out. So
Yeah.
that's what I have, yeah.
Our first topic here is going to be best performance. I got my guy listed here first, so just kind of a quick backstory on my game. I went to see Dunlap and Morton. Dunlap ended up winning that game 8-0, but the game that I was at in the fourth inning, I think it was the top of the fourth inning, it got suspended due to weather. Had a bad storm come through Morton that night, or the Peoria area really as a whole. So they ended up playing, I think, on the day after or the Thursday after. But anyway, the best performance from that game was shortstop Davis Weeks. Dunlap 2025 going to Michigan State. From what I saw, he was 3 for 3 with a triple, a double, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. But he ended that game 3 for 4. I think he must have had one more at bat or something in the rest of the game that they played. But it was really impressive. And I think the thing that most impresses me with Davis is that just over the years since I've seen him, he's just continually gotten better both on the mound and just as a position player too, with the bat defensively. Like he looks like a real prospect, like shortstop prospect, just defensively, like really, really confident hands. And I'll get into that later in a different section, but that was my best performance. So Davis Weeks, big game there for Dunlap.
Well, before I get to my guy, I want to shout out Davis again. Last summer, I think it was a tournament at Rantoul. He's playing shortstop, and I swear it's probably the best play I've seen from a shortstop since I've been doing this. It was like this crazy ball in the hole. He like turns around, makes a quick throw, and it was like on a line just to like show how ridiculous his arm is across the diamond, but also just the overall glove. So I love the shout out there of Davis. I haven't seen him as much as you have, Gavin, but really like the looks I have gotten of him in the past. But my best performance was I teased this a little earlier, but St. Francis has a 2027 by the name of James McGrath, and admittedly, this is a guy we've kind of had our eyes on of somebody we've wanted to see this spring, and we finally got out to see him last week. And man, like just from a prospect perspective, like he checks a ton of boxes. But then when you get into gameplay and then they do it with their performance, it just makes them so much more attractive as a prospect. But he went 3 for 3. Second at bat, or third at bat, hits a bomb out the left on a ball he like kind of goes out and gets on the outer half of the plate, and then his very next at bat hits a double and like just missed a home run by like maybe a foot. It was like the same exact pitch too, like same exact swing. Also drew 2 walks. Like I thought he took really good at bats from start to finish. Not a ton of chase. Like seemed like he really like had a good feel for the strike zone in this game, and knew what he wanted to swing at and what he didn't want to swing at. Scored 2 runs, but then I love watching him play center field. Like takes control out there, a real field general, covers a bunch of ground. So for me, best performance this past week was James McGrath. There were a couple other ones I had to choose from, but I'm going to try and tie those in with some of these later categories. But I can throw it over to whoever wants to go
Yeah, no,
next.
I don't know who's next. I don't think it really matters. I just like looking at James McGrath. We're talking 2027, so sophomore outfielder. Like we're starting to really get into the weeds on like who needs to be a future gamer. That's a topic of conversation. Like every game we're deciding to go to, when we get done with a game, hey, did any 27 show well? Like we've seen a decent amount of 27 outfielders. I felt like last week, and he's definitely put himself in the mix of like, okay, like James McGrath is a real prospect. He ran a 6.90 this past winter. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. You talk about him playing center field, like that's a kind of a physical, more like a Corey Less type of like frame potentially coming on for James McGrath. And Corey playing center and running the way he does, James McGrath with that physicality, being able to run and hang in center, I think boosts his prospect status. Like he's not just a right field, left field guy. He profiles at all three spots. And then 98 mile an hour max exit velocity. You look at his blast numbers from the winter too, Tyler. Like I was breaking those down. He averaged 73.5, which is like top of the scale for someone in his grade for the nation. Um, he's checking a lot of boxes, really is what I want to say. And if he's doing it in game, and what I loved about it was like how easy the ball was coming off the bat in those videos. So no, that's what I had on him. And I think Peter and I want to combine on our best performance because it really encompassed the course of two games. First baseman, right-handed pitcher Brady Cunningham for Brother Rice. Staying on this theme of 2027s. He's one of the top 27s in the state, for me. Really physical. Ran really well this past winter at a showcase. But to me, it's all about what he did in the batter's box. Big physical right-handed hitter. And when I saw him, Pete, like his first three at-bats, all over the barrel. I saw him against Mount Carmel on Wednesday. I think you then followed him up and saw him against St. Lawrence. And then I saw him again on Saturday. But it was really the game against Mount Carmel and then the first game against Lawrence. Well, was just all over the barrel. Did it all for Brother Rice in that game. Really professional at bats. Went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a stolen base in the game I saw. And then I know you had an even louder performance.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing it against a good arm as well. He went 3 for 4 with a home run that he literally just like flicked the other way, opposite field. So insane strength in that bat, and then a double to his pull side. He had 3 RBIs and a run scored, and he also earned the win on the mound. And basically to force that next game to see who would win the conference. Like if they lost that game, they lost the conference. So a lot on the line there. He went 6 innings with just 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and he punched out 3. So impressive all-around showing. And his, like, we've talked about it, he's a freak. The bat to ball with the strength he has is very, very impressive. That kid, the hit tool is very real. And I think I have finally decided that I like the bat more.
And the arm? Yeah, and the
Yeah.
beautiful thing for him is he does them both extremely well, and he's not going to have to quit anytime soon.
For sure.
So time will tell on that one, but no, the feel to hit and the polish and the ease with the power attached, you don't see that out of sophomores. Like it's just they don't really make people like that at that age. And I think he's got plenty more to come with the frame. Like despite how just physical he is stature wise, like he still looks young in the face.
Yeah, he looks like a baby. And not in a bad way, but like the young looking face, like
it's
not
exactly
shaving.
what you want.
Yeah.
From a projection standpoint and more to come and like plenty to dream on and so huge showing over the course of 2 games for him. Dane, I think you might have seen a pretty good performance from a guy that we've become really familiar with seeing down there in the Southern Illinois area.
Yeah, I got to see Joe Chirotto on Tuesday against Belleville East. Alabama commit on the mound. He threw a complete game shutout while striking out 8 batters, only allowing 1 hit. Chirotto was perfect through the first 5 1/3 innings until an infield single broke it up in the 6th. The following hitter reached on an error, and then he retired the next 5 batters in order. It was a really tough break with the single. It was a little grounder up the middle. I think it hit the mound and then it took a couple weird bounces. Krebs was set up behind it and then it hit the second base bag and then took another weird bounce. And by that time, the runner was at first. And then with the error, it was like an infield single as well, type play where first baseman dove for it, almost had it, and it kind of bounced around and guy got runner got to first base just in time, but it just dominant performance all around from Chiroto on Tuesday, and I'll talk a little bit more in the next section about him.
That's
Yeah,
awesome to hear. And I know Edwardsville made it to state last year without having Chiroto on the mound and coming into the playoffs. Like I that's something I'm watching is, who is healthy, who's kind of trending in the right direction. And it looks like Chiroto's kind of throwing his best ball right now, but he's also really been making an impact with the bat.
yeah. Just looking over at the best overall prospect now. So that's what this section is going to be. Just the best overall prospect that we saw the week before.
Yeah, I'll lead this off. I really feel like I could have gone in a lot of different directions here, but I think for me, my final pick is going to end up being outfielder Josh Morgan out of Fenwick. Another 2027. I think that's going to be a very common theme with all of my guys here. I know Drew was talking about us, really trying to hunt down a lot of these 2027s for future games, and ended up that was like kind of my underlying theme last week, but with Morgan, man, he's a right-handed hitting, center fielder, a lot like James McGrath we were just talking about, but really twitchy athlete. Like I know Hammett's talked about him. He really stood out for Hammett a couple weeks ago when he went out to see Fenwick. High-level football prospect. He's got that Penn State offer, so tells me enough about his football playing abilities. But no, with the bat too, like took a bunch of quality at bats. Even when he's fouling stuff off, it's on the barrel and it's loud and it looks pretty easy too. He's not, using all of his body to generate that sort of pop. So really like how he moves in the outfield, moves around like a football player, and I mean that as a compliment. Like just a really smooth looking athlete. So really impressed with Josh, but that's who I got.
All right. Well, mine may be a little jaded this week because I did go to see two games, but Brother Rice was, a team I saw twice. I got to see him play St. Lawrence, but then earlier in the week I got to see him play Mount Carmel. And just between those three teams, like there's a bevy of prospects to choose from, especially some high level ones. So, what kind of like Tyler, I could have gone a bunch of different ways. To me, when I look at it, I really think Gavin Triesenberg might be the best overall prospect that I saw. And it's hard to say, like, you're factoring, okay, he's a senior versus sophomore, and where will they all end up when it's all said and done? But, like, I look at Gavin Triesenberg, he's going to be a hard guy to not succeed. He does so many things well. Like, I'll just start with his defense. You can play anywhere on the infield, and he's probably going to be the top defender in the state. Like, whether it's at second base, shortstop, or third, he's long been a standout shortstop for Brother Rice. They're in a really unique position where, like, they have Jackson Natanic, who can play shortstop about as well as anybody in the state as well, but he also closes for them. So they can play him at second base. They can save his arm a little bit, use him out of the pen. They also have Colin Campbell, who's a sophomore committed to Louisville, who can flat play shortstop. So right now, what they're doing for their best defensive infield is they're putting Campbell at short. They're playing Triesenberg at third, and he hasn't played a ton of third base, I'm guessing, and he looks ultra natural over there. Like it is super easy. I mean, if it's hit his way, he's gonna make the play. Now, I say this, and I did see him make an error. It was a very weird ball that was like a capped line drive that in between hopped him, and he thought it was going to come up on the turf, and it stayed down. I don't know how it stayed down on turf. It was a weird ball, but I've seen him now probably play in probably 10 games over the last 2 years, and that's the first error I've seen him make. If it's in the glove, it's out of the glove probably quicker than anybody else in the state. Like that glove to hand release, the freedom and ease and confidence he has in releasing the ball from any slot and flicking it across the diamond and get something on it is really impressive. His understanding of the game, the way he slows the game down is It's unlike a lot of other high school players. He's never in a rush. The way he runs the bases, I saw him get a dirt ball read at second base where he got an incredible prep. I don't know how they teach, base running at Brother Rice or how they try to do leadoffs at second base, but his prep step, reading the pitcher's looks, the pitcher had looked back to home. He had probably gained 10 feet on his secondary, and then I think he read down angle on the ball. It's halfway to home. It hasn't hit the dirt yet, and he's already at third base. It was the most instinctual base running play I've seen in a long time. It goes unnoticed. People almost probably thought he was stealing the base with how quickly he got to third. But to me, it was a quality secondary. He's reading the ball in the dirt, and he's taking off on down angle, doesn't even see it down. So we'll have to talk to Coach McBride or Gavin about that one at a later date and see if I'm on that. But that's just him playing defense and running the bases. He leads off for Brother Rice. He hits at the top of the order, hitting north of 450 on the year. He's got plenty of doubles, but like it is so simple, so repeatable, so relaxed. His takes are up there with Jaden Fauske as the best takes in the state. He tracks the ball deep into the zone. He lays off spin. He uses the whole field. He was all over the barrel. Now, in my 2 games, he went L8 plus plus hard and easy. He walked. He went F8. He went plus plus line drive down the left field line for a 2-run double. Singled hard to left, flew out hard to left. He walked and he flew out to right in a plus plus AB. It's just every time he's at the plate, he's on the barrel. There's no swing and miss. There's no chase. It's just a baseball player, and the body keeps getting better. The tools keep ticking up. I know I'm going off, but like the best players in the state give you a lot to talk about. So it's easy to talk about him. And he's just a guy to me that like, as he climbs the ladder, he's going to be hard to keep off the field. So obviously I got a lot of praise there for Triesenberg. I love the mannerisms. You would never know if he's 0 for 4 or 4 for 4. He just goes about his business, leads by example. Really, really strong showing for him, for me, and just a guy that continues to get better. So thanks for letting me go off right there, boys.
No, I think that's all warranted for sure. He's been highly impressive every time I've seen him all year. But sticking with Brother Rice, it's going to be hard for me not to go with Brady Cunningham here, so I just am. I mean, we already mentioned it, like, the bat is real. And just the versatility, like, I know he plays first base for him, but he can move on the infield if needed, third base. And being a 6'7", if not even better than that, runner, he could play in the outfield, I'm sure, if he needed to. So there's versatility there. And then looking at what he can do on the mound, I mean, we've had him up to 90. He was up to 88 for me in game, holding it pretty well, was holding mid-upper 80s. And the curveball was actually the best I've ever seen it, showing good late depth. And he actually flipped in a little slider as well. So just a lot of different things to like with Brady, especially the bat. And when you look at like how much better that kid just gets year after year after year, and how much he's going to improve, there's just so much to like there. And I just continue to be a big fan of him.
Yeah, and then I had once again Joe Chirotto for best overall prospect. I talked about what he did on the mound, but at the plate he continues to produce. The last game I saw him, I kept stuck around for the Glenwood game against Edwardsville, and he hit 2 pull side home runs in that game, and he continued to show very well in that game. And then he continued that in this game against Belleville East, going 2 for 4 with a double, just all over the plate. Just great player, great prospect. Alabama got a get, and he's going to be very interesting to watch as and we go forward.
Yeah, and then or go ahead, sorry.
I just want to say, like, I know we've touched on some guys that have been doing it all year. I feel like Joe Chirotto fits that bill as well. And it seems like just his overall profile, like, what he's doing with the bat now is really starting to stand out to all of our scouts that have been out to see him. Dane, I know he's done it for you all spring. Hammond, I know you really liked the look you got with the bat when you saw Edwardsville. So just want to shout that out, like, a big-time two-way guy, much in that same, cut from that same cloth as like a Hayden Bernreuter for me, where they're just studs on both sides of the ball and really helping lead their teams. But
hey, with
Drew, what do you
Chirotto,
got?
I just want to shout out, like, He's got a young one coming up, boys. He's got a younger brother, Nicholas Chirotto. He's a 2028, and he's getting varsity time at Edwardsville. Tells me everything I need to know. We need to know exactly who he is. We need to see him. He's going to be a prospect. If he's playing for the Tigers as a freshman, that means he's doing a lot of things right down there for Coach Funkhauser.
Yeah, he can pick
Outside
it
of just being a good baseball player, you're not just a random freshman getting pulled up on that varsity club.
for
It's
sure.
a great call.
We've seen it. He can pick it, and he's got a projectable frame. So a little different build than Joe, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
like
see what
longer,
happens there.
wiry, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
What's
I can
what
hop
do we
right
got next
into-
year, Gav? Like, should we keep
Yeah,
this thing rolling?
our next topic here is going to be the best starting performance, that's on the mound. So
This was a guy who was on my junior future games team a couple summers ago when I first came back to work for PBR, and like when I was around him, he seemed like a great kid. He's been playing a lot of third base for St. Charles North, but on the mound, man, leading up to this start, he'd really been on a tear. But dominant stuff. Like he only had to go 3 innings. The game got out of hand pretty quick, but got the win. 3 innings pitched, gave up just 1 hit, no walks, no runs, 6 strikeouts. Only needed 36 pitches and threw 25 of those for strikes. I'm trying to look ahead to what we have here. So I'll eventually get into what his stuff was doing, but man, I was just really impressed. Like I said, I was really looking forward to see Matt and just checked all the boxes. The frame's right. Everything from a prospect standpoint is kind of what you want at his age. So just loved it and loved that he threw strikes and had control of, both of his offerings.
Man, and just hearing you talk about Matt Ritchie, like St. Charles North is going to be a team to keep an eye on come postseason. Like if they've got Matt Ritchie throwing the ball like this, they've got Keaton Reinke, who's a junior up to 90. They've got Emerson Miller, who's also a lefty junior he's throwing a ton of big innings for him this spring. The way Genki can coach, like they're just, I would keep my eye on St. Charles North.
To add to that point real quick, Drew, like they enter a big time series with Geneva starting today. This is Monday. I know this podcast will release Wednesday, but that series decides who wins the Duquesne conference. So they're entering with like on an 8-game win streak, I think. When I saw them play Thursday, that win brought it to like 8 games. So it might be even 9 right now. I don't know that off the top of my hand, but I know they haven't lost in a while. So
what I love is like one of Geneva's top players right now is a sophomore as well, Mason Brush. I don't know if I'm saying that one correctly. It could be Breach, but yeah, he's a sophomore that's been throwing the ball well for Geneva, upper 80s, kind of a unique mover as well. But if we're sticking on best starting performances, I'm going to shout out Braden McKendrick. I saw him this past Saturday with the CCL Blue title on the line against St. Lawrence, and he carried a no-hitter into the 7th. He battles, like it wasn't the cleanest, smoothest 6 innings I've ever seen. Like he walked 3. There was some traffic at times, like on the bases. Earlier in the game, like he gave up a run without giving up a hit. But it was 86-88 in the first inning. He's left-handed, can spin the breaking ball. Was throwing 2 different breaking balls. Like he can really tighten it up and use a little more horizontal to get in on righties or kind of backdoor righties as well to the arm side. And then he can throw more like get me over 1-7 type breaking ball in the low 70s when he wants, with a lot more depth to it. But I just love the way he competed, handled himself on the mound. I think if I look at his final line here, he went 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, which was actually in the 7th inning to lead off that 7th inning to Corey Less. Like left matchup. He had gotten Corey the first 2 at-bats, but Corey got him in this 3rd one. Corey's committed to Louisville. He's a junior center fielder for St. Lawrence. But McKendrick also struck out 4. And I know just a little bit talking to coaches before the games and stuff, like McKendrick had been, he was lights out for Brother Rice throughout the entire CCL. I don't know the exact numbers offhand right now, but he definitely, I would have thought, would have been in the running for that pitcher of the year. And then I see we got a Central Illinois performance down here as well.
Yeah, on Saturday I saw Muhammad Seymour versus Mount Zion. For Muhammad Seymour, Mason Orton, left-hander committed to Northern Illinois, started for them. He impressed as he struck out 11 batters through 5 and 2/3 innings, surpassing 200 strikeouts in his high school career. I did see him get the ball after that strikeout, so he has that in his possession. Fastball sat 86, 88 with our arm side run. Mixing a slider that's at 76, 78 with depth and late actions. Orton showed confidence on the mound, getting himself out of a couple of different difficult situations. Um, Between the third and the fifth innings, Orton struck out 7 of the 10 batters that he faced, only allowing one to reach base. Just looked really good. Had a big hit at the end of the game. Ended up being the winning hit with a RBI triple over the right fielder's head. So he just looked good all around and really impressed.
I can hop in here. Colin Doyle, I'm going to go with him. It was Downers Grove North taking on Lyons Township. It was the West Suburban is pretty tight at the top, and I know that series was kind of, it could depict and basically decide who was going to win it. Kind of, I think. I know York and OPRF are in the mix. So DGN's actually taking on York this week in a 3-game set. But Colin Doyle, complete game, 7 innings against Lyons Township, got the win. Just five hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Just a sophomore, kind of taking on that ace role. The coaches love him over there. Seems like a really good kid. I really like everything about the way that kid handles himself on the mound. He's up to 90 miles an hour. Really good mover too. He's 6'6" basketball player, so there's a lot to like there. And the off speed is starting to trend up. Just in my 2 looks, it was a lot better this past time, a little sharper. But I'll talk about him a little bit more later on. But I just thought that, I mean, it could be him or Brady Cunningham, but I'm going to give it to him for the 7 innings for the win.
Well, and we were just talking about how future games is like ever pressing right now. Like that's just another sophomore that we've gotten our eyes on, and he continues to get better every time we see him. Pete, I feel like whether it's the velo stuff, I know there's some rawness in there, and he's like continuing to clean things up. But man, is it interesting?
For sure. I mean, yeah, the velo was up a couple. It was 87 out of the pen last time in just 1 inning, and now he was up to 90 and holding it. Not holding 90, but holding mid-upper 80s for basically most of the game. And like I said, the curveball was even sharper this time. So just a good look at him. But we can move over here to best relief if you guys want.
Yeah, I'm in. Because I think I saw this first one.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier, like how Brother Rice goes about their infield, and Jackson Natanic could really play anywhere on their infield as well and be dynamic. Plays second base for them and comes in out of the pen. I got to see him in a 1-run game against Mount Carmel. 5-4, comes in 90-91, and it's hot out of the hand. A lot of strikes just coming right at guys, but really the separator, and it's long been his separator, is this hard slider that he goes to where he's ripping it, throwing it with intent, conviction. It's 80-81, and it's 2,900 plus on the RPM. It's just dynamic stuff. He worked a perfect inning with 2 Ks to just kind of really didn't allow Mount Carmel to even kind of sniff getting a rally going there in that last inning, and shut it down for Brother Rice. But I was really impressed the mound presence, the stuff, and the way he just kind of shut the game down. And sticking on that same game, I want to give a little love. Like, we do not have him in our system. But left-handed pitcher AJ Stanislawski for Mount Carmel. Brother Rice takes the lead on Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel goes to the pen. They go to Stanislawski. He's a senior. From what I could dig up online, because we do not have a ton on him, I want to say he's either unsigned or he's going to Illinois Tech, just off what I saw on his Twitter. Nothing was for sure. But he is a senior left-hander, good-looking frame, and went right after Brother Rice for 2 2/3 innings and shut him down. Did not give up a hit, a run, and he struck out 2. And the reason it stood out to me so much is just you look at that Brother Rice lineup, and it's full of right-handed bats that can really, really bang. And he's a lefty going at him and shut him down for 2 2/3. Kept Mount Carmel right in that game, kind of changed the momentum. And was really impressive. So AJ Stanislawski, kudos to you. Good stuff from
Drew,
our.
one I just wanted to mention again, as an Illinois State grad and just a fan of the team and always rooting for him, I'm so fired up to have Natanic come and just watching that video that you posted. And I think he could be a really, really good option for them out of the pen his freshman year. So that just fires me up to see that. So I just wanted to add that in there. But
No,
go ahead, Pete.
absolutely. And with his stuff, like he's a guy that I would think could impact a college, rotation. And I say rotation, just carving out a role because he does have that well above average slider. Where whether it's, hey, come in and face two righties and just rip sliders, or, as a freshman, like, hey, if that's your role and you continue to dominate that role, we'll see if it expands. But 100%, Gavin. He gets after it out there on the mound too. I love it. And just, he's athletic because we watched him play the middle infield for so long. And those athletes with feel on the mound, like they just continue to perform and get better.
I'll round things out here. It was, for me, I'm going to go with Stevie Wagner. Steve Wagner from Morris. He's a senior. He threw 2 clean innings against Sycamore to close it out. Just allowed 2 hits, no runs, and had 1 strikeout. And it was like he's a quick worker. I know he gave up 2 hits, but I thought it was still really clean, like really quick innings. Was working low mid 80s, so just a nice arm to mention for Morris. Just another piece that they have at their disposal.
Yeah, and then the next section is going to be loudest barrel. For me, again, it is Davis Weeks, and he took a changeup in his second at bat to deep center field over the center fielder's head. I think it probably hit the bottom of the center field wall at Morton. He doubled on that one, but he barreled it. It was a very hard hit ball, and just one thing about him is he just keeps getting stronger as like a just prospect, and then the right-handed swing is just very easy, and the power is starting to come for him. Like I know the past few years, maybe he's been a little more like wiry or had room to fill out, but now he just has like a ton of present strength, and it really shows at the plate. So my loudest barrel was Davis Weeks from last week.
My loudest barrel is going to Ty Heinbuck out of St. Charles North. He's a 2025, going to North Central after this year. Listen, I've really been impressed with Ty. Like all 3 times I've seen St. Charles North this year, especially with the bat, right-handed. Like got a ton of strength, but in his first at bat, hits a loud 2-run homer out to left. Which from there, St. Charles North just never looked back. They ended up beating Lake Park 14-0 when I went out and saw that game last Thursday. So, loudest barrel for me had to be Ty Heinbuck from last week.
Mine, I'm going to choose from Saturday. 0-0 game going to the bottom of the second. I don't know for you guys on Saturday, but it was a lot different than Wednesday. Wednesday when I was out, it was a warm day. The winds were blowing out of the south. Balls jumping out of the yard. Saturday was the opposite. Like wind was blowing in from left, maybe a little bit towards the right field line, but Aiden O'Hava, a right-handed hitter, jumped all over this pitch and hammered it through the teeth of the wind into left for a solo home run. It gave Brother Rice the early 1-0 lead. And before that barrel, we had actually seen a couple other hard barrels. Like Nolan Ramley smoked one to left center that got hung up in the wind. So Nohava hits this one. I'm watching it after the one I saw Ramley. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to get out, but Nohava, you can see it on the video. He knew he got it. He did his little, watch the home run and his little, whatever you want to call it. So he knew he had it, but I wasn't as sure, and I'm glad it got out of the yard because that could have been a bad look there if it hit off the top of the wall and stayed in. That for sure would have been a single because that was about a 20-second time to first base. But that was the loudest barrel that I saw in the 2 games. Really impressive swing, too. He's an Eastern Michigan commit.
I actually had him as my barrel of the week as well. He hit one at St. Lawrence that was maybe like 15, 20 feet off the ground, just straight out. The wind was blowing out to left, so that was maybe a little bit aided, but it was still a missile. And Jackson Natanic actually had one that same game that was like 5 feet short of the scoreboard. And if anyone's ever been to St. Lawrence, you know what I'm talking about. So that was a bit of a bomb as well.
Well, so I feel like I've been giving a lot of love to some committed guys here. One uncommitted guy that showed well for me, Mount Carmel. first baseman Anthony Chavez. He's a left-handed hitter at Brother Rice. First inning, takes one opposite field for a 2-run home run. Really impressive swing, and then he actually followed it up with like two other really loud barrels, both to the warning track for outs. But impressive look for me, and that was probably the second hardest barrel that I saw in the week. Just shout out Anthony Chavez, left-handed hitter, first baseman. Body looked right, like 6'3", long levered with more strength to come, and a lot of loud contact in my look.
Yeah, and the loudest barrel for me was from Andy Antonacci from Sacred Heart. Griffin, 2025 Heartland commit. Might be known more for his arm. In this game, he hit a solo home run over the right field fence in the first inning to give Sacred Heart Griffin an early lead over O'Fallon. Then later in the game, he hit a double, so he's making a lot of impact at the plate. But that was a loud barrel from Antonacci in that first game.
All right, and then let's look over now. We're gonna go with clutchest moment at this next spot. So what do we got here?
I'll lead it off. I had to work this guy into this category. I'm going to use this category as like most web gems. I know our next category is going to be top defensive prospects, but I already have two guys for that, so I didn't want to bog it down with three. I'm going with outfielder Jace Koth out of Jacobs. Left kid, true center fielder. Made like two diving grabs out in center field. I want to say one had runners in scoring position for Crystal Lake South at a game I saw Friday. This kid just made play after play in center field, so I just wanted to give him his due. Another 2027 that impressed over last week.
And then my clutchest moments came from the O'Fallon versus Father McGivney game I saw on Wednesday. Cole Becker came up to the plate with game tied at 4 runs apiece in the bottom of the sixth. And connected on a 2-run single into left field for the winning hit over Father McGivney in a Power 25 matchup. Just very fun stuff to watch. DH 2026 to keep an eye on.
I already went off on this prospect before, so I'll keep this quick. But Gavin Triesenberg could really pick it. I don't know if it was like the clutchest moment from both games that I went to, but one that stood out to me was Daniel Coyle, one of St. Lawrence's best hitters. He's a 2026. He was up. It was a tie game. St. Lawrence, Brother Rice, early in the game, but tie game with 2 outs. St. Lawrence had runners in scoring position. And Daniel Coyle hit this ball off the end of the bat. Really kind of tricky hop that I feel like could have messed with a lot of infielders. But Gavin Triesenberg was able to get it on the short hop. And the way he, for the moment, the way he handled the ground ball and flicked it across the infield, you would have thought he was in the backyard with his dad. Just horsing around with how easy and relaxed he made it look. But yeah, he fielded it cleanly, flicked it across the first base for the final out of the inning, and kind of squelched that rally that St. Lawrence had against their best hitter. And that was the moment for me that stood out. I actually tweeted that one out as well, just because I thought it was a good play, and I don't think the video did it justice. But it's out
Yeah,
there.
and
That was a
next
cool
section
thing
is
to
going
get
to
on
be the
video.
best defensive play or defensive prospect, however we want to go about it. But for me, it is just like the best defensive prospect. And again, for the third time, I'm going with Davis Weeks. Like during in and out, it was so impressive. He just looked so confident with his glove, and he walked around like he just knew he was a good defender out there. There was a play they kind of on while doing in and out, he was up on the grass and they hit it to him and it kind of bounced around a little bit, took a bad hop. And the ability to just like change direction so easily and move his glove over and not even like make it look weird or unnatural. Like he was just so athletic with it. And then to uh like transfer it to his hand and then on like the run throw it off to the like kind of at a lower slot. He was able to change slots a lot. Like and it was accurate. His throws were accurate to third, to second, across the diamond to first. Like it's just so easy. It looks exactly like you draw it up for a shortstop. So I was really impressed with his defense. And then honestly, I wanted to mention Owen Adams too. He is Morton's shortstop. He's a 2026 uncommitted name to know there. But just again, he's kind of more like he's kind of got like a wiry frame. It's not as like built as Weeks, but I just like the way that he moved around there at short. Again, he had some accurate throws on throws to third and then over to first too. Lighter arm, but it's accurate. Moved around well up the middle there, but yeah, those are my two defensive prospects to know.
Another tie. I talked about this last section, but I've got a tie with two 2027 shortstops. First one I'm going to start off with is Carson Trivellini out of Crystal Lake South. Watching him pregame, to me, it's just the actions are how it's supposed to look. Very fundamentally sound, I felt like, during pregame IO. Then you watch him in game, just the pre-pitch actions to me, it's like he is so engaged, so locked into the game. It's really impressive defensively. Like the glove really works. The arm is like deceptively strong across the infield as well. Another guy who was a JFG for us a couple years ago was on my team. I promise there's no bias, but great kid. He's also a great basketball player for Crystal Lake South. I want to say he was all conference in the Fox Valley this past winter, but defensively, it's just that's how it's supposed to look when you go out and watch a high school shortstop. Drew, I'll let you hop in here if you want to before I get into my next guy.
No. The only thing I was going to say was it seems like there's quite a bit of bias going on with former JFGers. But no, no, it's because they're good players, right? And they continue to develop. Who's the next guy you were going to mention?
JJ Obaldo. Now, we've talked about him on this podcast before. Stood out for Hammett earlier this spring. Stood out for us at our preseason All-State. Man, really flashy at shortstop. Like, I feel like both of these guys kind of do it a little differently. It's just hard to miss Obaldo's glove on the infield. Like, the glove to hand to me is just so quick, so fluid. His arm plays from any angle it needs to, but his ability to play on time, play on the move, to me is just, it's really special for that age, I feel like, and that's not a word I really throw around, but like, you watch him defensively, and it's special for 2027. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of those, but Obaldo especially. The glove, super crisp actions. That's kind of what comes to mind for me. Like, the kid just moves different. But for me, I'm going to go with Anthony Cardolano, center fielder for Brother Rice. Now, the specific play that I'm thinking of, it was Corey Lass hitting. So anyone that knows Corey Lass, left-handed hitter that can run a little bit. So he hit one in the gap, right center gap, that was for sure going to the wall. And Cardolano made like a diving, sprawling stop to stop the ball from getting past him. Now, any other runner, he's not going to second, right? But Anthony gets up, fires a strike right to second base, perfect throw. Les did get in, but he's just a really good runner who got a really good jump out of the box. But the fact that Anthony made that even a close play was really impressive to me, and the fact that he stopped the ball in that diving fashion, then got up and made an accurate throw was just really impressive. Any other runner, he's either out or not even running on that. But he's just an advanced defender, like explosive first step that can cover a ton of ground with good reads off the bat. Coach McBride loves him, speaks really highly of him, and it's easy to see why. He's very advanced and one of the best center fielders I've seen in my time doing this, and he's only a sophomore.
Well, you mentioned Corey Lass being a St. Lawrence grad. I'm going to choose a St. Lawrence grad as well. I'm going senior Enrique Villanueva. He's committed to South Suburban Junior College. Now, this to me, I think we can all take these different ways, right? Like, to me, just one thing defensively that stood out on Saturday, the game that I was at, Brother Rice, St. Lawrence, I thought Enrique Villanueva Jimmy Benson was on the mound starting, and I thought he stole him 4 to 5 strikes at the bottom of the zone. And to me, it's all credit to Villanueva. Now, hey, Benson, that's credit to you, like putting a quality pitch at the bottom of the zone. But the way Villanueva was getting underneath the pitch at the bottom of the zone and presenting it for a strike, there were like 4 or 5 borderline calls that I thought he got the umpire to bite on him, call him a strike. St. Lawrence is obviously loving it because it's a quality pitch, it's a quality presentation. They're stealing a strike. Brother Rice is hating it because they think it's down. And all the credit to me goes to Villanueva being calm, easy, the way he shows that pitch, gets underneath it, presenting it. So that was kind of my defensive play or prospect that stood out.
And then my best defensive, it's going to be a play, not a prospect. I saw a lot of great defensive players, but this play stuck out to me. On Monday in the Sacred Heart Griffin O'Fallon game, bottom of the first pitch to Braden Robertson. He hits a home, I guess a would-be home run over the right field fence, except for Drew Ward goes up and robs it and snags it. He just looked good at the plate, but also, I mean, he had a huge catch in that game.
All right, and then now we will go with our best pitch that we saw. So I'm going with Ryan Schaffnitz. He's a Morton senior going to Bradley. Shout out Dane. He is his changeup. Ryan Schaffnitz's changeup is probably the best changeup that I have ever seen out of a high school prospect. Like the ability to throw strikes with it, and it's just heavy fade with depth. It drops off like late. Gets a lot of swing and miss on it. So Ryan Schaffnitz's changeup is the best pitch that I saw last week.
Sticking on changeups, I'm gonna go with Sam Chin. Um, he threw two changeups in the game that I saw against Brother Rice, and both of them were like two of the best that I've seen. Now, neither of them were for a strike; they were both missed to his arm side. But the action they had, it was like super late and disappearing action, like true dive. And I actually caught one in the video that I tweeted of him, and you can see it. It's like I said, not a strike, but just a really, really impressive pitch to be able to make a changeup dance like that late. And then his curveball as well. He was able to land that thing with ease, first strikes, whether it be in the zone or below the zone, righty, lefty, didn't matter. Really good action to it. And he's got good spin on it when we've gotten him on the track, man. I know it's about 25, 26, maybe even north of that. But yeah, two really good off-speed offerings there for Sam Chin, and I think he's a true starter profile with three real pitches.
I'll hop in next. I'm going with Matt Ritchie's fastball. Just absolutely dominated the Lake Park hitters with it, I felt like, as well as his go-to secondary, which was a slider. But on the fastball, it was 86 to 89, touched 90 a couple times in his first inning. But to me, what was impressive is like he held that velo. I know it was only 3 innings, but like for context, there were really long innings in that game where, you know, as a former pitcher myself, Hammett, Gav, like those really long innings are honestly really tough on a pitcher. Yes, it's great you're getting a bunch of run support. I'm sure Matt wouldn't want it any other way. But you got to sit there. You probably got to go down to the bullpen, play a little catch, maybe throw like a few pitches off the mound and just stay sharp. And for him to come back out and the fastball was still 88, 89 in the second and third innings, to me, just spoke a lot and said a lot about his fastball and just his ability to maintain that velo. But I'll throw it over to, got Colin Doyle here.
Yeah, I'm going to hop right back in here with a fastball. Colin Doyle, up to 90. But just the fact that he's 6'6", and gets really good extension on it, like, it plays up. And you can tell just by the swings and misses that he gets on it and just the takes, like, it is, I don't know what the actual number on the extension is. I'm sure we could look that up. But like I said, it really plays up and it gets on you quick. So I think that fastball, I mean, for a while there, that's kind of what he was using to bully hitters was just the fastball. And like I said, the off speed is starting to trend up as well. So, I mean, when you get all that working together, we're looking at a really special arm for North there. But Colin Doyle up to 90, and it was special.
Well, and Pete, you were calling out Sam Chin's RPMs on the breaking ball. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to throw that to you. He was this winter he averaged 27-21 RPM on the breaking ball. That was the average.
Oh, that's not bad, yeah.
And I'm sitting here now. You got Colin Doyle. You mentioned some extensions, so I'm going to look it up here while we're...
Let's do it.
Yeah, so a fastball, we're getting average extension of 6.9.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's getting down the mound a little bit.
He's getting down there, yeah.
Yeah. And then is it on me here with best pitch? I guess, yeah, I'll go ahead and go, Dane. I already mentioned it, but Jackson Natanic, the slider, it's one of the better sliders in the state. Just ripping it like 2,900 plus RPM. And with feel, like his first outing, actually, I saw him again on Saturday, and I would say he did not have his ace slider. But when that thing is good, it's really good. A little Joe Chirotto here, Dane, for you as well.
I'll go with Joe Chirotto for the third time this podcast. I'm going to talk about his breaking balls. His fastball set 89, 91, topped out 92, but he went to two very effective breakers. Slider that set 77 to 80 with depth, and then a curveball that set 73, 76 with sharp late actions. He really relied on them as the game went on, but just effective, effective, effective.
Yeah, and then looking at quality at bats now, that's going to be our next topic here. So yeah, Tyler, what do you got on your quality at bats for the week?
Talked a lot about these guys already, but James McGrath and Josh Morgan in that Fenwick St. Francis game, like just felt like both of those guys. The at bats, like fouling a bunch of stuff off. As a pitcher, you hate that. Just like get out, please. Just made it really hard on opposing pitchers to get them out. McGrath didn't get out in this game, but just really impressive stuff. Neither guy was afraid to take their walks. So those were my quality at bat champs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with just a guy that I feel like we always see really good at bats from. Actually, both of these guys, but Brady Schaumoser for one. I just love his at bats, the way he handles himself, the fluidity he has just in the hands. He's super rhythmic, and he's always on time, and the bat to ball is really good. And he took a couple of really good swings when I saw him, but he just doesn't swing and miss or expand the zone. It's one of the best left-handed bats in the state without question. And then Daniel Coyle. Now, he really didn't have anything to show for it for me. Heck, I don't even think he got a hit. But just the way he handles himself as well, like advanced knowledge of the zone. Again, does not swing and miss. Really premier bat to ball that we've long seen. And Drew, we were kind of talking about it earlier. Like that kid just keeps kind of solidifying himself as a prospect. Really looks the part at third base now. And I know this is at bats champ, not quality third base champ, but like he just continues to do it. And I always come away a big fan of both those guys. Really.
No, absolutely. I saw the same thing you saw with him defensively at third base. I thought it was well above average. He showed it in pregame, but then he showed it in gameplay as well. The arm was playing better than I've ever seen it. But sticking to some other things I saw during that game and quality at bats, like one guy that maybe doesn't get as much love as a lot of other guys at Brother Rice, but somebody that I saw play twice, he caught both games, is senior Josh Torres. I could not find if he was committed. I searched on our site, I searched on the old X, everything like that. Couldn't find it. So if he's out there, feel free. Shoot us a note if Josh Torres is committed, but I'm just going to say uncommitted. Hit out of their 8-hole. I really liked what I saw against St. Lawrence. St. Lawrence was throwing Jimmy Benson, who I thought was throwing a lot of quality pitches throughout his outing. But Josh Torres finished 2 for 3. His first at bat, he hit a hard line drive to left field. His second at bat was kind of one that really stood out to me and I loved, but he just battled. And over the course of 2 games, like he just struck me as a guy that's, he doesn't take at bats off. Tries to use the whole field, doing whatever he can to put the ball in play. It's a flatter stroke, and he uses the whole field. But he was able to poke an RBI single to right center field to score Brother Rice's second run of that game, which actually got him the lead at the time. And I think I have that right. Yeah, it got them their second run of the game, which gave them a lead at the time. And then he lined out hard to left in his last at bat. So just was a guy that seemed all over the barrel in that game. And then kind of also did it behind the plate as well. Threw out 2 runners in 1 inning. They were trying to steal second base on him. One was a strike him out, throw him out. One was after a walk. Yeah, Josh Torres just had a really strong overall showing for me and did it behind the plate as well. Threw out two potential base stealers in 1 inning. Really kind of stood out in this one game for Brother Rice.
Yeah, and then let's look at like our last section here is guy on the rise. So for me, it's left-handed pitcher Owen Schizler. He's a 2025 at Dunlap going to Illinois Wesleyan. Left-handed pitcher, if I didn't mention that, but up to 86 in this look. Sat low 80s with a quality slider and changeup. He only threw 3 innings because that 4th inning was delayed before it was going into the bottom half. But he was able to hold Morton to no runs. And I just feel like he's one of those guys that we've seen over the past couple of years and liked it. A left-handed arm that had some velo, but the velo is starting to pick up now and it's continuing to trend up. I thought he attacked. I liked the way that he moved, and I just think going to Illinois Wesleyan, that's a great spot for him. They're a good program here in this area, so good stuff from Owen Schizler.
I don't know if I put this next guy on here or not, but I'm gonna get in there on him. Anthony Cardilano. Man, when it comes to the 2027 class and like what we've seen recently, I'm not sure there's a sophomore that's done more for his stock than Cardilano. Um, Big time football player as well. Like broke his arm in the fall playing football. Apparently a receiver, and not surprising because he can flat run. I had a 3.84 on a bunt in the first game I saw Brother Rice, and then I had a 4.18 on him down the line on a ground ball. Um, and that's from the right side. Like that is well above average for a sophomore. Like can really go get it. We already heard Pete talk about him defensively, but man, Cardilano is just a bulldog animal. Like high motor, love the competitiveness. Would love to have him on my team type of guy, and just has really made a strong statement over our last couple looks at Brother Rice.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about run times. So they were doing a hit and run, and he made a really good swing to go protect and go down and get it, and it was a tough play for the center fielder. They had to come in, and they dove, and they missed it, so the ball got by him. Well, Cardilano got an inside the park home run on this, and he went first to third in 11 seconds, which is like, that's pretty impressive, big boy times. When I think of like first to third times, there's always this one, someone might have to help me with this name, but that kid from Vandy, a couple of years ago, outfielder, went like first round.
Enrique Bradfield?
Yes, Enrique Bradfield. I remember there was a reel of him going first to third, and they were timing it, and it said 11 seconds, and like that was a huge deal. And then I remember because I like the next day I saw Dylan Head go out, hit a triple, and do it in 11 seconds, and then now Cardilano. But the thing with with Head is he was a left-handed hitter, so that makes it even more impressive for Anthony doing it from the right side. But yeah, just a crazy run time.
And I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing you might have seen Head when he was a senior. Do that.
No, that was
too.
sophomore actually.
That was a sophomore
Yeah.
year. He was running
Yeah.
like that because his run just like kept getting better. And by the time he was a senior, I got a couple run times on him where I like couldn't even really believe it. They were so good. So,
But like that puts him right in that same category. Like who
For
knows
sure.
what he's going to be when he's a senior? But
for sure.
yeah.
And Dylan Head was a football player at a young age as well. Like just athletic and hard nosed. I love it. Yeah, Dane, did you have a guy you wanted to get in on that's on the rise?
Yeah, I got Scott Phelps, catcher from Father McGivney, 2026. This is the third time I've seen Father McGivney this season, and every single game that I've seen him, Phelps has had a big hit. And this one he connected on a 2-run double down the left field line to get Father McGivney on the board and tie the game. He continues to show very well behind the plate, and he's a nice bat that gives them depth and a strong lineup. Just a 2026 name to keep an eye on, especially behind the plate. And he also has a strong arm that he showed off between innings.
All right, I'm going to call out Mickey Lotus, second baseman for St. Lawrence. He's a 2026, and I think this is a big theme for myself, but hopefully us, like really trying to make a point to parents and players that it's not about how good you are when you're 14 years old or when you're 16 years old or whatever the age may be. Like the whole goal should be to try to become as good of a baseball player as you are when you're 21, 24, 27, whenever it is that the game kind of finally calls it quits for you and you do reach that peak. But like Mickey Lotus to me is that perfect example. We've talked earlier about all these guys and just came off of like, hey, Gavin Triesenberg keeps getting better. Jack Wheeler keeps getting better. All these guys keep getting better. RJ Duncan keeps getting better. And to me, that should be the whole goal for these players coming through high school. And Mickey Lotus is so far away from where he's going to be when it's all said and done of him as a baseball player. Like he's starting to tap into his tools. This winter he ran a 6.79, but you look at him, he still looks super young. He is still like not physically there where he's going to be one day. And I loved the fundamentals that he plays with. Like, I think we've talked about him on a podcast before. Like, he is a coach's son, like steady Eddie at second base and then at the plate, hitting 2-hole and like super barrel controlled with feel for the barrel. Took a lot of quality at bats. Like, he could have been in that quality at bat champ category for me. But Mickey Lotus, guy on the rise, one to just, man, like, keep an eye on that name 4 years down the road. Because it's only going to continue to get better.
For sure. He was one of my biggest winners, honestly, from the preseason All-State. Like, I thought he was one of the biggest improved that I had seen in like that year. I'm a big fan of him. Like you said, super fundamentally sound, and I really liked my look as well. I had a 4.19 down the line for him on a single or on a ball in the infield. So good runner that just continues to get better.